Theo Dorsey here with ESPN Top 63 and ESPN West Palm, and I'm joined by Jimmy Robertson, head coach of St. Andrews, coming off of a big kickoff classic win. Just how strongly do you feel about the Scots coming into this fall?
You know, we've been working hard all the in the off season, the summer. And we put on a good show last Friday night. We got a lot of talented players across the board, and I was excited to see what they got. And it was a good preseason game for us. I'll just say that.
I know in how many points did y'all actually end up with when it was all said and done?
49, but 42 were in the first half.
Right. How much more efficient and what's the biggest difference with the offensive side of the ball? Because I know last year for the Scots, injuries derailed a little bit of the season and you got off to a slower start, at least with that side of the ball. How much more efficient is this offense now?
Well, it's Jack Williams' second year, our quarterback. He was a sophomore last year. That was his first, varsity season. So obviously, when you have a quarterback that knows the system and you got athletes around him, it makes it a little bit easier in the beginning of the season. Jack actually missed the first few games last year, so he didn't have his start until I think week 2 or week 3. So it was good to have our quarterback out there, and he's been working hard. So obviously, his hard work has paid off so far.
What were some of the big things that popped for you? I didn't get a chance to see that first half. Our camera actually got out there when it was a little bit out of hand already, so we didn't see as much of the Scots as we wanted to of the kickoff classic. But what's working in that offense with Jack and the weapons around him?
Well, first off, we started the game. We kicked the ball off. They wanted to take the ball, and we pushed them out 3 and out. And obviously, we wanted to start Dylan Faison real quick. So we threw him a little screen, and obviously he took it to the house, first touchdown, and that kind of set the tone. Obviously, our defense came up big the next drive. Got us 3 and out again. We scored very quickly again, and then our defense scored on the third drive. A sack and a scoop and score. So it was 21-0 real early. And that's a confidence builder for us. So that was real good to start the season like that. The ball bounced our way and we made some plays, and we started off hot.
A reclassification for the Scots this year. How is that going to change things for y'all going from 2M to I believe 1A? And what do you look around the horizon for the high school football season for y'all now?
Well, last year was we went to one.
Okay.
So this is our second year. We still have the same district, but in our region we got some pretty tough teams, especially if and when we make the playoffs. We got to go against some of the top dogs, not just in the state, but in the country. So we know where we need to get to, and that's what we're trying to be.
Starts with your actual opener, which will be the high school game day game of the week. You got Kings Academy. Last year was 13 zip, but I believe you didn't have your quarterback Jack in there that time around. What do you remember from that game that you can use this week to help the Scots be prepped and ready to go come Friday night?
Well, playing Kings is such a great game. I have so much respect for that school and that coaching staff. The last few years have been a battle, being close games. Going down to the fourth quarter or more. We're excited that we're healthy right now. We got Jack Williams. Being able to start the game. So I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to a competitive game. It's gonna be well coached by both sides, and I think it's really good for the county that we got two great teams. Both programs I think are pretty respectful, and it's gonna be a great week one.
Yeah, I'm looking back at it. So 2 years ago, you opened the season with the maybe like the most points scored between the two of y'all in the history of a Florida high school football game, 55 to 54. Last year it was 13-0. Great defensive output from both sides. Of course, you didn't have your QB. This year, at the very least, you feel a little bit more confident in the offensive side of the ball. I believe Dylan Faison was playing like Wildcat quarterback for you last year in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
spot.
yeah. He was playing Wildcat, and we didn't have much in the playbook, and we kind of focused on special teams and defense, and they had a really good game plan for us. It was really challenging for Dylan Faison. I think he carried the ball 25 times that game, but I feel more prepared this year. We got everyone healthy, and offensive side of the ball, we got some really good playmakers. We got Dylan Faison. We have this kid Wesley Wynn. We have Quinn Connors, obviously, who's committed to Colgate. We have another tight end, Nate Chatingy. Our running back Remy DRC. Powerful runner. And then we have our starting receiver that was hurt most of the year, Jack Lunch, will come back. So we got a solid core group of guys that honestly can score every time they touch the ball. So that's what I'm really excited about.
I'm curious with Faison, how much more does this kind of open him up to be able to do what he does best because he won't have the amount of responsibilities on him trying to fill in and play QB early on? Because he's an incredible athlete. Obviously, he's committed to Notre Dame for lacrosse and football. He's a top 10 player from the top 63 list and everything. How much more do you think this can make his senior season pop now that he can play his more natural role with the Scots?
I honestly don't know how to answer that question. I mean, everyone knows who Dylan Faison is, and defensive coordinators, they're going to try to have to figure out who they want to stop. And I think we got a lot of weapons, and you can't really bracket Dylan Faison or double him because like I said, the kid Wesley Wynn is he's a burner. And you got two tight ends, one 6'5", the other one 6'3", that are big bodies across the middle. And our run game with Remy is pretty solid right now. So I think it's going to be tough to defend, but we got to be able to make plays. We got to be able to make big plays when their numbers are called. And I'm really excited for this offense this season.
You've had a lot of iterations of the Scots, Coach Robertson. How do you think this one stacks up to the many teams you've coached before at St. Andrews?
That's a really good question. We were in a team meeting Saturday after our game, and I was talking to one of our captains, Jordan Mortis, and who's a 4-year starter on the offensive line for us, and he's just like, Coach Robertson, there's something different. I was like, yes, there's something different about this team, and I haven't figured it out yet. I told my guys in the team meeting there is something different in a good way, and I'm hoping in a few weeks, if we have another interview, I could tell you what's different. But right now, I'm trying as the head coach figuring it out, but it's all positive right now, and I'm excited to find out how different we are than all the teams I coached at St. Andrews, but also over my whole 20-year coaching career.
You win Friday night if what happens for St. Andrews?
Just confidence. We're in for the long run. Every coach says that you got to week by week, you got to get better, and that's always been our goal. That's always my coaching philosophy. We're going to make mistakes, and hopefully make less mistakes than them. And when we have opportunities to score, we got to capitalize on it, and especially offensively because we have a very explosive offense. So I think it's just a confidence builder, and obviously everybody always wants to win week one. Especially when you play a great opponent, a consistent opponent. It's a great way to start for both teams.
And having the game at home, how much more does that help you for your guys to be able to kick that thing off in front of the Scots crowd?
Oh, we're super excited here. We actually just started school today, so this is our first day of school. So I'm hoping that we could bring out the entire community, from lower school, middle school, high school. Obviously, we're game of the week with you guys there. That's going to draw some attention, and we're just hoping that it's a great football game, and we get to put on a show and hopefully come out victorious.
Good luck on Friday. Have a nice, healthy, safe week of practice, and looking forward to seeing the Scots versus the Lions.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Theo Dorsey, joined by Dan Burak, the head coach of the Kings Academy Lions, ahead of a high school game day game of the week at St. Andrews. First and foremost, how do you feel coming off of your kickoff classic win?
I feel really good. It was a good game, gritty game, but it was a good win.
Your team clearly is a team that is going to have more eyes on it than we had the year before in the fall. You shocked a lot of teams last year. You had a great run. What do you feel like they gained from that experience that's going to pour into this fall?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good team last year and just a lot of young guys as well. This year, even younger team. But the good thing is just the culture starting to take over. This being my third year as the head coach and fourth year here, so the kids have a good face. And but it's just been good just seeing these guys really pouring into each other and really just putting God first in all that they do.
What's your philosophy like as a head coach, as we know that this is the era of transferring back and forth in all of athletics? I mean, I feel like they're doing it in middle school as well.
Yeah.
But how much do you reward guys? You're obviously going to be inclusive to the guys that come into your program because they're buying into the culture y'all have set. But how much do you like to reward the guys that have stuck around and have been there since you started coaching there?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our roster, with the exception of maybe a few guys that have come in, you know, we have guys that have pretty much been here almost since elementary school. And I think that's a rarity these days. And well, listen, I know, I know that's the name of the game, but it's not really conducive to what we're trying to do here. The big thing is when you see guys that have been here 3, 4 years in the program, you start to see that. I mean, the relationships that you gain, I'll take those over, just bringing in some stud athlete. Those are always nice to have, but it's one of those things where, yeah, the relationship wise, I think you're starting to see the what can you do for me kind of culture, right? And when you see guys grinding every day and they're here within a system and they're with their teachers every day, they're with their friends every day, they're in a great school environment, like that's what high school to me is about. And I think that with the relationships, hey, 10 years from now, I'm hoping to be at somebody's wedding or seeing how they're
Yep.
doing in life. And I don't think that's a priority in a lot of places. And I just really love seeing these growth in these kids. When they come in as the freshmen, and then all of a sudden now they're the senior guy.
Who's a good example of somebody you saw coming in? I know it's only been 3 years for you as the head coach there, but saw early on and is now a leader in the locker room for Kings Academy.
Yeah, I mean, Levi Champion. I know he's only a junior, but he came in here as a freshman. Just really seeing the growth out of him. Hudson Champion, Tice Porche, man, that kid has been here for a while. Ben McPherson Jr. He's been here. He's seen all his brothers go. He's got a younger brother on the team. So there's a really good family legacy there. Caleb Scroggins, he's another one. Kind of like a legacy guy where basically a bunch of his family members came through here. And you're starting to see these guys come up through and just take leadership and take charge. And I really enjoy the fact that we have freshman leaders, we have senior leaders. I mean, everywhere in between, these guys are just playing for each other.
You're going to be playing for each other on Friday night on the road against the Scots. Last year, you get a 13-0 shutout. The year before that, it's 55-54.
Yeah.
I mean, are y'all going to y'all never cease to amaze us. What are you expecting out of this Friday's matchup?
Yeah, I mean, people forget too. The year before that, we won by a last second field goal. So it's been a good game, man. It's been a good little rivalry. I think Jimmy does a good job over there, and they're well coached. I know they're going to be in shape, and I just know looking at them, it's always a good test to see where we're going to fall in our season. But I'm excited about it. It's always good competition. And also too, I think at the end of the game, we're able to line up and pray together and come in fellowship. And so, yeah, it's going to be competitive and everything, but it's just going to be a great day for competition.
What is it about this team that you feel like it feels like a tone setter for both programs? This is the third or fourth straight year you'll face off in week one. Why do you like going up against that squad? What do you respect about that coaching staff and how enjoyable is that for your whole program?
Yeah, I mean, they do all the little things right, right? So they're a very well coached team. They're a tough team. And so going week one and just seeing, hey, two evenly coached teams, where you're going to concentrate on the little things. We're not looking at rosters where you're going against teams that have like 75 plus, so like-minded school, talent. So you look at it and you say, okay, this is a good test just to kind of see where we fall and then really kind of crank it up going into the season. I like the early test early on because, again, it just kind of says, hey, this is going to set that tone for the rest of the year, where we need to fall. And I think each year, both of our programs have done really well, making it to the playoffs and winning district championships. So it's just a really good testament to see, like, where do we fall going into the season.
I know last year they had injury at quarterback. They had Dylan Faison, a top 63 player who's committed to Notre Dame, playing some Wildcat QB and
Yeah.
whatnot. I mean, how much different do you expect it to be just based off of that sole fact that he'll be at his more natural position? They'll have their guy back at QB, and it'll put more of a test on your defense than you saw last season, same time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. The kid's good, right? Faison's good. But I will say, we're pretty good on defense as well. And we got some really good guys on the defensive side. So I think it'll be a really good battle between their offense and our defense. And I'm excited to see how our guys handle him and just see how we corral him. But like I said, I know he's a good athlete and stuff, but we got some guys on the defensive side that I think will match up pretty nicely.
Where do you feel the strength is at right now with the Lions team as y'all approach week one here?
I mean, definitely our defense. You got Levi in the middle, and then you got his brother on the outside and Tice up top. So, I think definitely our defense is something we're going to lean on. That's my baby. I'm also the defensive coordinator and the defensive minded coach. So we're going to put all the eggs in the basket on defense always. But I'm also really excited about our offense. There's just a lot of young guys on that squad that they've been working to get this moment, right? So obviously you miss having like a Javian Jones or somebody like that, but we got a lot of guys that we can facilitate the ball to. So again, I'm really excited to see how our offense connects. We got a little bit stalled out on just some few things on the kickoff classic, but they've had a really good film session and really good just kind of breaking down things on Saturday, seeing where we need to fix some mistakes. So, but definitely on that defense, and then our special teams looks pretty good too. So
The Kings Academy wins Friday night at St. Andrews if what happens correctly for the Lions?
got to just play 4 quarters of football, and we got to finish. That's the big thing, is just finish and set the tone, and just be more physical. If we're the more physical team, I think we come out on top of that game, no problem. But again, it just comes in and setting that tone for 4 quarters straight, and just not giving up that big play. Keep everything little, and I think we'll be just fine.
Looking forward to catching you all on Friday night out in Boca Raton. Appreciate the time and good luck and a healthy week of practice for the Lions.
I appreciate it, man. God bless, and thank you guys for all you do for the kids. We really do appreciate it.